Welcome back to the Confident Creator Show. I have with me somebody special, and she is someone who has been a good friend for the last couple of years, 2 years, I would say. Yes. And she is a business coach and the host of the Global Phenomenon podcast. She helps up and coming online coaches monetize their tiny audience through organic lead generation strategies before they invest time and money in audience growth. Ina reached her six figures in her business before even cracking 1,000 followers on any of her platforms. And her mission is to help coaches do the same. So here she is, and welcome to the show, my good friend and sister from another mother, Ina Coveney. Welcome,
Thank you
Ina.
so much for that lovely introduction. And yeah, we've known each other for a couple of years now. We were in the same mastermind a couple of years ago on the Friendship Stock. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, and it's so happy to see you again and talk to you again outside of the mastermind because this podcast recording has been a long time coming. We have planned this a month ago, and so many things. We both got sick. We both, except you were in the hospital, I wasn't, and thankfully.
Yeah, it took a while to finally get here. And everybody should definitely go and listen to Mai's episode on my podcast because you're going to learn things about Mai that you didn't even know that she had gone through. I really dive deep into personal story. You got to go and check it out. The podcast is The Global Phenomenon. And Mai's episode is episode 81. You have to go and listen to learn about this marvelous woman, Mai. You have to.
It was an amazing episode. And yes, you're right when you said there were things that I haven't even shared before. I shared it for the first time in your podcast. So, well,
That's right.
I know that you have been prominent in the online business the last couple of months, but I want you to share with us. So tell us about you. Tell our listeners who Ina Coveney is and what she does and how she helps people.
All right. So, yeah, my name is Ina and I'm originally from Venezuela. I'm kind of sparing you spending the next hour trying to figure out where my accent is from. I'm from Venezuela. I came to the US when I was 16 years old. So that was 24 years ago.
Wow.
I totally just gave you the easy math to calculate how old I am. But yeah, I came to the US with the American dream, right? With wanting to come here for college and wanting to have my house with a 2-car garage and get married and have a great career and have the corner office and all these things. I grew up with my parents being very corporate, right? I grew up going on Christmas time, going to my parents' offices and watching them have meetings, watching them have a whiteboard in their office and people coming and asking them questions. And that's the only way that I thought you could really make a living. So I actually spent the first 15 years of my career in corporate. I was a software project manager. And then for all of the 15 years, I knew that I wanted to do something else. The problem was that I didn't have any examples. I didn't have any role models, like nobody else, until I discovered, like many people have, the Amy Porterfield Online Marketing Made Easy podcast, right? That was my gateway into this whole crazy world of coaching and making money doing something that you like to do. And I just fell in love with it. I had been making websites on the side, but definitely I was not aware of the online world, even though I was making websites. It's crazy. I had no idea that this world existed, that this universe where they're out there making money with their own brain and getting clients. I didn't know that was a thing until finally, in 2018, I got screwed over for the last time at work. And I just decided I was not worth it to go back and I quit. I was very smart about it. I knew that I could survive another year without my income, right? With just my husband's income. And I gave myself a year to try to make it work. And that was almost 4 years ago. It will be 4 years a week from now. I'm sorry, a month from now. I'm going to be celebrating my 4 years in business. So I'm happy to say that it worked. And I didn't start out with coaching. I didn't know what coaching was. I didn't want to have clients. Long story short, I wised up. I realized that you actually have to talk to people to know what it is that they need. And monetizing a small audience is something that came because I just stink at growing an audience. Like, it didn't matter what I did. It didn't matter what I tried. My audience just wasn't growing. But I'm like, my business has to continue to grow. So I just did it. I got myself clients. I made it to 6 figures within the first 2 years. And I'm like, okay, this seems like something that continues to work to this day. As of this recording, I have not cracked 1,000 followers on any of my social media platforms, not for lack of trying. I just seem to not be able to do it. But I am actually growing the business. I'm making recurring income. I get clients. Every time that I launch, I get clients. So that's what I teach. I go out there and I tell coaches to basically stop trying to grow the audience. That's just a distraction. It's just getting you to do all the things that everybody's telling you to do, to go and post and create content. But then you're still not making money. You're just a walking marketing department. So I go out there and I teach coaches how to actually get money in the bank by getting clients and just not worry about that glitzy stuff. Such as growing their audience. Get clients first is what I tell them. So that's in a nutshell where I came from and what I do to help people now.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That was quite a journey. And you still have kids to take care of, right? I remember you getting in a call and then driving them to school or picking them up.
In those calls, in the mastermind that you and I were together, you would see me join the call and I was folding laundry. I was driving them to school. Like, the calls were never at a time where I could just be at my desk uninterrupted. I was always just doing some mom stuff. I have 2 kids. They're 10 years old and 4 years old, and they're adorable and they're awesome. But I'm going to come completely clean with you guys. I do not have a nanny. I do not have special help at home with my kids. So over the past couple of days, we've all had to quarantine because a close family member came out positive with COVID, and we saw them last Thursday. And right now it's a Tuesday. So we're at the edge of the 5-day mark where we haven't been able to get tested yet. We'll get tested tomorrow. We're all feeling fine, but they're at home with me while I'm trying to do work.
Oh,
and
dear.
The struggle is real. Just saying.
Yeah. Yes, that is a lot. So staying with the kids for the last 2 years, them being constantly at home, that might have drive a lot of us insane. But yeah, we can't do anything about it.
But you just got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll tell you that as productive as I can be, I know that I can never rely on my schedule, because I don't know if I'm going to wake up on Monday and one of the kids has to stay at home with me. So I had to move my meetings. I live in constant fear that I don't have as much time during the day as I think I do the day before. Right.
Yeah.
So we just have to make it work.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I once talked about it in one of my Facebook Lives inside Successful Creative Entrepreneurs, where I told everybody, for me right now, there's no such thing as balance. Balance is an illusion. You need to learn how to be able to adapt, because every day the situation changes, especially if you have kids around, right? Yeah, because we don't know what's going to... Yeah, exactly. You'll never know what's going to happen. Now, going back to you teaching people how to monetize using their small audience, you mentioned it's important that they master the skill first, like monetizing the small audience before they invest in, getting and growing. But the reason why I wanted to highlight this is because I teach the exact opposite of what you do. I teach people how to grow their audience and build their authority, be visible, be prolific, be all that. And I'm glad to know that we are talking about 2 different things and not fighting about it. Because in business, there are many different ways, many different approach to how you can monetize your skills. So if growing an audience is better for you, go for it. If monetizing a small audience can be better for you, and Ina has proven that it's working, go for it as well. And I think we can learn. And what do you think is Like, how do you monetize such a small audience? What is it primarily that you do?
I will tell you, but first I'm going to add that I don't actually believe that our views are opposing each other. I
Exactly.
actually don't believe that it's either you grow the audience or you monetize the small audience. I believe that they're both paths in the same continuum, right? Because I'm the first person who'll tell you, I'd love to have 10,000 followers tomorrow. The question is that what my business needs right now? And I know that you're going to agree with this next part, Mai. Because really growing the audience, it has a place in your business. It's just where does it fit in the timeline? And I'm sure you'll agree that before I go out and create the content and try to attract people, I gotta know what I'm selling, right?
Yeah.
I gotta know what I'm selling. I gotta know who I'm talking to. Like these are requirements before you go out and grow an audience, because otherwise, how do you know what kind of audience you're growing and what kind of people you're attracting? So I have a process. I have a membership right now. It's called Get Clients First, where I divide the process into 3 stages. Stage 1 being validation. It's just making sure that whatever it is that you want to sell, somebody actually wants to buy, right?
Yeah.
That's stage 1. Stage 2 is creating a repeatable process for actually getting clients, which is, we spend a lot of time understanding what the client actually wants, getting practice with the coaching, with talking to people. And then it's not until stage 3 that we decide, you know what? I have something that works. I have something that people want. It's time to open the floodgates. So to me, it's not even like you do one or the other. Is knowing that before you go out and start growing, you really got to know what it is that you're doing with yourself, right? So in your process, like, does that make sense? Is what I'm saying makes sense?
Yeah, it is. It does. It does. And I think it's really important. I have been also telling my students the same thing. If you want to make money, you've got to know and understand what is it that you actually wanted to offer first. It's also the reason why in my so I have a program called Profitable Beginnings, and in there I have the same 3 core machines. That you have 3-step process. I have 3 different 3 core machines. I call them the lead generation machine, the offer machine, and then the sales machine. So basically, it might have been there at some point. Our offers might have like some sort of similarity, and it meets at some point. But at the same time, it is different, and it aligns with the type of audience that we have. And it's also the same thing that I have been telling my clients. You need to know what you want to sell before you go out there and tell the word, because otherwise you're just going to be churning out content day in and day out and then not know where you're leading your audience into.
Exactly. So that we can 100% agree. I wanted everybody to hear that it's not one or the other. It's not one is better than the other. There's a million ways to make money online, but we can all agree that we got to know what we're doing before we go out and grow an audience.
Exactly.
And know people are attracting. So to your question of how do we do this, I know it's going to sound really like everybody has heard this before. Okay, everybody has heard it. I'm not going to say anything that is like new and revolutionary, but I do want you to lean in and understand what I'm about to say. It is about relationships. If you want to monetize a small audience, I want you to picture what life was like for entrepreneurs before the online world existed, right? Before there was social media and before we were so focused on growing an audience and selling to strangers, right? There were a lot of companies that were in business before 1999. I hate to break it to you, but there were a lot of companies doing very well with it. And some of those pillars of sales was establish a relationship. It's don't be pushy. Don't go and sell something to someone who doesn't want it. Is know what their struggle is so that you can go in with a fresh look and a fresh perspective and see if what you're offering is what matches their needs. So that's what is really at the heart of monetizing a small audience, is realizing that we're bringing all of those strategies that people used before social media was around, but we're bringing them online. So I have an entire like course material on how to have relationships online, because I feel like we didn't all grow up with this skill, right? We didn't grow up knowing how to talk to strangers online and how to make friends online. We knew how to do that in the playground. We knew how to do that at camp. We knew how to do that at college, but doing it completely from scratch, it's tricky, especially when you're a business. Because when I'm a business, my first instinct is going to be, oh, Ina, I don't want to go out and talk to strangers because I don't want to appear salesy. And I don't want to appear pushy. And when people DM me out of the blue, I know that they're coming with a pitch and I know it's not going to be genuine. So there's all of these things that we have seen and we have felt and we have experienced on DMs, right? On establishing relationships. And I'm here to be like, listen, I have a great small audience that I treat them like friends. Like our first conversations were not me saying, hey, did you download my freebie yet? Hey, let me chat with you about your dog picture for 3 chat bubbles until I can start telling you about what I'm selling. That's not how I interact online. So if you have a small audience, it's time to start looking at your audience in a completely different way. Start looking at them as people who might need what you have. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, but that's really at the heart of it is relationships.
It's exactly. That is so, so true. And I've seen so many other famous Instagrammers and all that who are kind of snobbish when it comes to DMs. I have personal experience of that. And I have a couple of people that I know of who also does that. We're not going to name them here, but yeah. But in my case, I have been super attentive to the DMs that I receive, except for the creepy people. Creepy dudes on Instagram, you have that.
Yeah, I call them dudes looking for love is how I call them. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we have received so many of those DMs as well as pitches, and we know how it feels to get pitched just directly. Just before this call, I deleted a DM on Instagram because it was, hey, I love your work, I love your blah 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 blah. By the way, do you want to work with me during the da-da-da? And I was like, no, that is not the right way to pitch, girl. I actually wanted to send her a message. This is not the right way to pitch. However, I know that it is her job, so I might as well just channel my energy into something better. So I ignored it, blocked the account, and did my thing. Because if I get into that, I'm going to be channeling all my energy into the wrong things, and I don't want that. Okay, but yeah. And we always worry about engagement. But the thing is, there's so much potential engagement in DMs as well. If people come to you and they ask you for a problem in your DMs, that is your chance to show your expertise and your knowledge and help them in a more genuine way, a more personalized way, without giving it all away. You can help them, and then once you have established that relationship, then maybe over time they're going to learn that, hey, Ina or Mai is my go-to person when I ask for this. So maybe it's time for me to start, paying more attention and getting into one of their programs. That's how you build a strong relationship.
I am so glad that you mentioned that, because we always get this question is, how do I create free content without giving it all away? Right? Like, how do I know?
That is always a question.
It's always a question. It's how do I know? What if somebody's asking me a lot of questions on DMs and basically I feel like I'm coaching them on the DMs? I'm going to tell you what my philosophy is. And I feel like my audience has gotten used to the way that I handle this. So I am not shy about answering questions on DMs. If somebody who's listening to this right now goes to your engagement coach, find me, DM me and says, but Ina, how do I get started with DMing people? Like, what are some things that I can say? I am not shy about replying to that person and telling them, listen, this is what you do. But here's the deal. Whenever somebody sends me a DM asking me a question, I get to turn around and share that same answer, not just with that one person, but with the rest of my audience. So what I'm doing is I take a screenshot of it and I always de-identify it. I remove their name, I remove their picture. I take that question, I post it to my stories and I answer in the stories. And I say, thank you so much for your question. And then in the DMs, I say, hey, look here. I just answered your question on the stories, right? And my audience has gotten used to that. They're free to DM me anytime, but they got to know that I'm going to answer the question for everybody else. So why is that doing? That is, number one, giving them the answer that they're looking for from me. So I don't sound snobby, because I've gotten this before, and I've actually had coaches tell me to do what I'm about to tell you, and it just doesn't feel good to me. To them, like, well, these are my rates and this is what I do for a living. So if you really want to work with me, you can go here. That never works. Like I challenge anybody to tell me, like, when has that ever worked? When has somebody asked you a question on a DM and you've responded, well, if you want to work with me, we should do this, right? Like, certain percentage of the time, most of the time, that's just like, people are just like, oh, I just wanted this simple question answered, and now I've made it awkward and I'm never going to ask them a question again, right? So that's not what I respond. Everybody knows what I offer. On my feed, in my stories, I'm constantly talking about, this is how you work with me. This is my program. This is what we do. So if anybody sends me a question, I'm like, hey, let's interact, because that Instagram notices that we're connected and you might want to see my content, right? And then I take that, I post it to my stories, and I save it in a highlight called FAQs. So that's doing a couple things. It's getting them an answer, and it's also elevating my authority in front of my audience, because it looks like, hey, people are coming to me for questions and I have the answer for them. So that is how I suggest, me, an engagement expert, monetization expert, this is how I would suggest handling that kind of thing. And I will say, because this is the next question that you get, it's like, how do I know that I'm not giving too much away? But that's my first answer, is you're repurposing content. Welcome questions, because you're using them as content. And then the next question is, well, what if somebody really like gets comfortable and asking me so many questions on DMs, like more than I can, like more than I'm willing to give them, because it's starting to sound like a coaching session. I've done this before. Number one, I start to distance my responses, right? I start to kind of train my audience, knowing that, no, I'm not here at your beck and call, right? I definitely have other things to do. So I start to distance my responses, so that they know they're not just going to get a free direct answer from me every time. And I also, instead of going like, well, if you want to work with me, we can do it. If their questions are too involved, like if I believe that I really cannot give them a fair answer that is going to help them, because it requires me knowing a lot more background than they're giving me, I am honest with them. And then like, I'll send them a voicemail. I'm like, listen, it sounds to me like I need to know a lot more about your business, so I'm not making wrong assumptions in order to answer that question for you specifically. So if you ever wanted to talk more about this, let me know. But at this point, I don't believe that a quick answer is going to help you. So I've done that before. So there's many ways of handling it, but I always say, as a rule, and by the way, that hasn't happened in a really long time. And I'm very open, welcoming questions. So it's going to be a very small percentage of people who actually do that.
Yes. I think there's what you're talking about is that fine line between helping and being abused.
Right.
You know that. Yeah, helping and
Exactly.
being abused, because the tendency is we would like to help. We'd like to help. And me, generally, I am very generous when it comes to helping people. I also, sometimes I get off tangent and just really just dive into coaching, and I will notice that, hey, you're already coaching. So I'm going to have to stop myself and tell them that, hey, I think I needed more, information. But apparently, to do that, we might need to get in a call and talk more about your business. And then in that call is where I'm going to tell them how this is how we can work together in order to get the answers to your question. And that is how you're going to be able to pitch your product. But the thing is, other people are worried about sharing too much information when they are, responding to people's questions. And the thing about that is, no matter how many questions you answer, because people are getting all of these responses for free, you know what they say? When you pay attention. Because people who typically get things for free, these are just passive to them. They absorb the information, they don't take action. A lot of them. And I will tell you, 1 out of 10 will basically take action. So majority will not.
Yeah.
And even if the people who you talk to, got that response and got their answers, how many I have had a lot of people whom I have helped for so many years. And I can count through my fingers how many of them actually took action.
Exactly. So you gotta understand when you have that question. Well, I'm afraid of giving away too much or coaching people on DMs. You gotta understand that there's no way that anybody can get the kind of transformation that they could get working with you. There is no way for them to get that out of a couple of really beefy DMs. Like there's just no way. So I would say to not fall into the trap of continuing a conversation like you're coaching people. I would say think about how can I answer this really like in a really short form that would help multiple people. If the answer you're giving someone is so specific to them that you wouldn't even post it on stories because it would not be relevant, then you're getting in way too deep. Then that's when you would go, it sounds like I'm going to start making a lot of assumptions. And you notice this because it starts to, like, your advice starts to not get taken even. Like if they ask you a question and you give them advice and they say, yeah, but that's not going to work for me because XYZ, that's when you start to realize like, oh, wait, that's right. I don't know anything about their business. I don't know anything about what they're going through. I don't know anything about their background. So it doesn't matter what I say. They're going to have a piece of background that they're going to put it in the forefront to tell me why my advice didn't work for them. And that, you guys, that happens 100% of the time. When I get a question that is specific to someone and I try to answer it just to be nice, just to be like, you know what? This is very specific to you. And there's a lot of assumptions that I'm making, but I would suggest doing this. I always fall flat in the face because they come back and they say, well, that it wouldn't work for me because this and this. I'm like, well, I didn't know that. Right. And that's when I know, okay, Ina, this was not a good question to answer. This is when I would go, it sounds like I need more background and I don't do free coaching. But if you have a general question, super happy to answer it. I'll post it to stories. You want me to tag you? I'll tag your business. Right. So they're never going to get the kind of transformation that they could if they were actually working with you. You just got to know that in your gut.
Exactly. Because when it's transformation that they're looking for, it's going to take months and even years. Yeah. That is why these people always ask me, why do I have to join group coaching or mentoring program or courses? That is because it is going to take a while for you to see the transformation from where you are right now to where you want to be. It doesn't happen overnight. And if you want to really, really get there faster, well, a lot of people are saying, yes, there's no overnight success. It's true, there's no overnight success, but you can speed up the process. So instead of you taking 10 years to do that, maybe you can, trim it down to 2 years because you can shorten the learning curve by actually learning from people who have been in the trenches, who have been where you are, and who have done all the work. So they know exactly where you will have the mistakes, where you will commit mistakes, what potential, problems are you going to face. They know that. And you might be able to avoid those as well. But I'm not saying you're not going to make mistakes at all. We are all still, going to make mistakes at one point or another. But those are going to be a little bit less than when you're trying to do things on your own.
And doing things on your own is really hard.
Yeah,
it's really hard to get up every day and to self-motivate, right? But when I am working with someone, when I'm following somebody's process, there's so many other factors playing. Like, I don't want to let that person down. Like, you know what? I'm going to try this because I have a safety net. I have an expert telling me that it's okay to do that. It was because of my coaches that I started raising my prices, for example. They helped me realize that I couldn't keep treating every person that I had a sales call with like, if I don't make this sale, the world is going to end. Like, I had to realize that there was abundance in the universe and that after this person, there's going to be another one. So I felt more free to experiment. And because that expert told me, no, Ina, you're not going to be charging $197 anymore. Your next call is going to be for $1,000. And I'm like, okay, then. And so I tried it and they said yes. And I'm like, what is happening? Right. So I would have never raised my prices if it wasn't because I felt like it's going to work, but you gotta do it. And we don't often get into the habit of giving ourselves that kick in the butt, you know?
Yes, and
We're swimming in our fears, right? We like our fears. We like them. It's our comfort zone. Why would we ever willingly get out of our comfort zone? That's what coaches are for.
Yes, and it is also a little less lonely doing business when you have people around you who are smarter than you are, who are, doing so well. I'm always amazed and inspired at the same time. Yeah, sometimes it can get overwhelming that, oh my goodness, they're already on their seven figures and I'm still on my six. So it's overwhelming, but at the same time, you are just gonna have to pick which one do you want, which problem do you want. Do you want the problem to reach how to reach the seven figures, or do you want the problem of I just want to sulk in here because I cannot reach seven figures? That's the beauty of having all of these people or being surrounded by all of these people. You'll have a different experience when it comes to running your business. You're gonna learn a lot instead of just trying and doing things on your own. I think that's part of what we are paying for, and those are not cheap.
Right. Right. No, I've joined masterminds 100% purely for the network, like to be surrounded by other people who would challenge me 100%. And even so inside my program, I have people who are starting out in their businesses and they're all starting out together. And today they were talking to each other, and I love seeing them talk to each other because it's like, oh my God, it's like this is a community now. You guys are talking to each other and they're offering each other help with market research calls. They're offering each other help with advice. They're telling each other, oh, this has worked for me and this has. And I'm like, that is amazing. The power of community, of not doing this on your own, realizing that your problems are not unique to you, and how did somebody else in my position solve it? It's just beautiful.
Yes. And you know what the funny thing is? I have noticed most of the people in our mastermind, they are the people who doesn't have hundreds and thousands of followers on social media, but are making really, really big. And that just goes to show that what you are teaching is real. You don't need a bajillion of followers to make a lot of money in your business. You just need if you can do it with a small but quality audience, that is also possible.
Yeah. And I'm gonna say, like, I say this all the time. I mean, you guys, I monetize small audiences, but I wish I didn't have to. I wish I had 100,000 followers tomorrow. Life would be so much easier, and that's great. The problem is that I don't want anybody to fall into the trap of believing that exactly what you just said, that in order to grow a business, I must grow the audience first, right? I need to have people to launch to. So therefore, if I don't have 10,000 followers tomorrow, then I don't have a life and my business is not going to grow. Like, that is just the wrong way to think about it. I tell people, if I were to gift everybody who's listening to me right now, if I were to gift you 10 followers, right? And I'm like, congratulations, everybody. A gift from me to you, you get 10 followers. Tonight at midnight, you're going to see 10 new followers in your account. Half of the people listening are going to be like, thanks, Ina. Like, my account just went from like 310 to 320. What am I supposed to do with that? I needed 10,000, not 10. Thank you for nothing. The other half is going to go, okay, time to work. What am I going to do to get to know these 10 people? Each person is a gift, and each person could be my next sale. Each person could be my next collaboration. Each person could be my next mentor. So that's the mentality that you got to have when you want to monetize a small audience. It's not about the numbers. It's about the quality of the people that you have in there. So if I gift you 10, figure out which bucket you fall into. And if you're in the thanks for nothing, Ina, get yourself on the other bucket, and you're going to be much more profitable. You're going to go a lot farther when you know what to do with every single person in your audience.
Yes. And I think that is because people are investing in the wrong things when it comes to, building their followers or using social media as a way to do business. They're investing so much in growing they're following, the numbers, the vanity metrics. What do you think people should stop investing in right now? And what do you think is the thing that they need to focus on more instead of just growing and checking how many people have subscribed to me or how many people have followed me today and liked my post or commented on my post?
So I have two answers because not everybody who's listening to me is in the same situation in their business. Okay? So this is how I'm going to put it. If you have an offer that you love, that you are planning on putting out for the next year, and that other people have already bought from you, and that you are seeing results, and that you have a process, right? Because I work with a lot of people who also have been doing one-on-one for the past year, but they were never actually developing a process for what they're walking each person through. Like each one just feels like a snowflake, right? That you don't have a program. All you have is just coaching by the hour, essentially, if you're not developing a process that can be systemized and that can be scaled, right? So what I'm about to say only applies to people who have an offer that can be like copy and paste replicated with their ideal client multiple times, that they're planning on sticking with that offer for the next year, that they have validated that it works, that they have validated that somebody will pay good money for it. If you are in that position, you guys, knock yourselves out growing your audience. You are ready. You're ready to get more traffic. You're ready to get more eyeballs on your offer so you can make more money over the next year. Everybody else who does not have an offer that they have tested, that somebody has purchased, that they want to stick with for the next year, that they know exactly what kind of person is this offer is perfect for, that they know that they could scale this offer to a group program very, very soon. If you're not there yet, then it's time to quit the dream of growing the audience until you're ready, until you fall into the first group. It's time for you to stop investing in programs on how to do reels. It's time to stop investing on programs on how to grow on YouTube. It's time to stop investing in programs on how I start a podcast. Your only job is to get clients for an offer that you love, that people love to pay for, and that it gets people results. That's your only focus for the next year.
That is so, so good, Ina. That is so, so good. For a while there, I thought we were disconnected. So I paused, but it's not. We were not. I was just worried because sometimes this internet thing goes crazy on me, even on recordings. But yeah, okay.
I hope you got all that.
I got all that, and I was like, that is amazing information. Okay, so thanks for letting people know, and thanks for telling our listeners that if it's not the right, there are things that you need to focus on right now, and that is not investing in so many different programs all at the same time. You could invest in one and get better at it. The reason, you know what, there's always something that a lot of my students have been telling me. I have invested in a couple of programs, but I have not been better at anything. And the reason is because they have been investing and investing and investing and not taking action. Not taking action. When I invested in my first online course, I took it to heart. That course actually helped me make my first 6 figures. Yeah. I took action literally on every single lesson that she taught. That was actually a course by Melissa Griffin. Every single lesson in that course, I took it to heart, implemented it, and really, really helped me big time. I was able to create a website. I learned how to create a nurture sequence, which I did not know before. Who knew that I needed a nurture sequence in my email? But I didn't. So that was when I realized, oh my goodness, there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to running a business. But until you take action on what you have invested in, you're not going to see the results. And this is something that my other coach has told me as well. And I shared this with my students. If you want to see results, pay attention to the people you are paying. Mm-hmm. And the people who are paying you. Mm. So your clients and the people and the person you are learning from. Because if you keep on just getting all of this information from everybody else has a different method of teaching. And that might not all work for you. But if you focus on just the one person that you're learning from right now, you're going to see the exact result that you came in for that course or program for. Right?
And what I can see from what you're describing is that program was the perfect thing that you needed at that time. So focusing on that thing was absolutely the right thing to do, and it got you to six figures. What we end up like what my story of investing, there was at one point that I was invested in like 7 different courses and programs at a time. And
Yeah.
what was happening there is that I would basically be like an ambulance chaser for Facebook ads. Like I would see a Facebook ad and I would chase after it, and I would just click on it. I'm like, okay, what are they offering? When does it expire? What are the bonuses? Oh, I can't let that bonus get away. And I would go and buy it. I'm a very like impulse buyer. So what would happen? That the reason I was buying it is because of this FOMO effect. It had nothing to do with what is it that my business needs right now? What is it that I need to learn right now? It was more like, I don't want to let that offer pass me by. So I'm going to go and buy it. But then I don't spend the time in it because it wasn't the right thing for me at that time. But I keep lying to myself and I keep thinking, oh no, but I'll get to it. There's still so many programs that I've only gotten through module 2 of them. And then I'm like, well, it hasn't solved my problems yet. So I see there's this other offer. Let me see if this other one works, right? So that's me jumping from one offer to another, not really understanding what is it my business needs right now. So I would encourage everyone who's listening to think about just that one question. Look at your business. What do you need? Do you need clients? Do you need a YouTube channel? Do you need a podcast? Do you need to grow your audience through exposure, through getting on stages? Like, what does your business need right now? And then invest in that one thing and then stick it out and actually do it. But that doesn't happen if you just invested on something that your business didn't actually need right now. So that's really a trap that a lot of coaches fall into, which I've diagnosed it and given it a name. I call it over-investing and under-earning, because that's where I was. And I was just stuck in this cycle of investing in everything. And then, like you said, not getting better at anything and not seeing the results from anything. So I say, match what you need to do with whatever your next investment is.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks so much for that, Ina. We need to start investing more into focusing on our clients, serving our clients, and also honing or sharpening the saw, honing our skills so that we can serve our clients continuously better. Now, clients don't magically appear, right? Our clients, they come from everywhere. But how do we? So while Ina is here, I think this is probably one of the last questions that I'm going to ask her. I don't know if I ask you a lot of questions. This conversation just flowed on naturally. So if I am to ask you one question today, how do you make sure that you consistently get clients despite having a small audience?
One word answer is I define a launch as a period of time where I open my cart and where I close it. This is possible to do with one-on-one offers as well. So it's not like, well, I don't have a group program, I don't have a course. I need to spend the next 6 months developing a course before I can launch something. No. If you can help someone, if you have an offer right now, all you have to do is say, hey, you guys, I have a special offer right now, but I'm only going to offer it through the end of January. So if you want to get on that gravy train, there's an expression with gravy. I'm just hungry. So if you want to jump on this offer, this is your deadline, right? And on this date, I'm going to close that offer forever. Who's in? That's a launch. Is having a period of time where you open the cart and where you close the cart. And after you close the cart, you closed it. And then you move on to the next promotion. So I call them launches. It could just be promotions, but it has to have a time frame. So in order for me to get clients, that's really all I have to do is have my launches prepared. I already planned. I have 6 launches coming this year.
Wow.
I'm selling one offer and I'm streamlining it, and I am outsourcing a lot of, I've spent the past entire year just perfecting the art of selling this one offer and outsourcing to my VA as many tasks as I can. So I don't spend every 2 months, I'm just like grinding, trying to get everything for the launch ready. I've outsourced as much as I can. And that has taken me a whole year to do. So it's not something that happens overnight. At first, you're doing a lot of the work yourself. But the more you do it, the easier it gets, and the next one gets easier, and the next one gets easier. So we just encourage everyone to try it once, but don't stop after one time, regardless of the results. You take that once, and then you build on it for the next one, and then you build on it for the next one, and it's literally a snowball. You're not starting from scratch every single launch, what I call launches. You're not starting from scratch. Your previous launch was the springboard into the next one. And into the next one, it just grows like that. So plan your year around your promotional dates.
Yeah. So while you're busy, like you have so many, you have multiple launches this year. So what do you do in between those launches? How do you continuously nurture your prospects or your potential customers?
So one way is to really focus on content. And this is a really good tip that you gave us in the Global Phenomenon podcast in our interview, which was you gotta be doing content. So it's not just about engagement. I could go out there and talk to everybody about what I had for lunch and how much I love where they're from because I used to vacation there. Like this was just fresh in my mind because I just had a conversation like that yesterday. I'm like, oh my God, you're in Florida. I love Florida. I could have conversations like that all day long. It's not gonna get me clients. Content is where I get to go and educate people about their problem and educate people about the solution that I have and educate people about how to work with me, what it's like to work with me and what they get when they work with me. So in between launches, I'm just doing a whole bunch of education and letting people know like, hey, you're coming here for engagement tips. Here you go. Here's all of these engagement tips. You want more? Come and watch me live every Monday at 2:00. You want more? Come and watch my webinar that is coming up. So it's constantly writing content and making invitations and staying as visible as possible.
Exactly, because people always obsess about, I need to post today, I need to do this, I need to show up, I need to show people my work. But the thing is, one, if you don't have an offer, where are you leading this audience to? And then if you just keep on churning out, sales pitches, people are going to be annoyed as well. So you have to balance it all out by creating content. And I think I said this also in a Global Phenomenon podcast where I was a guest. Like, if you want to make money, you need to make content because your products, your offers, they're not your money-making machines. They're just the solutions that you're offering to your clients. Your money-making machine is actually the content. This is the gateway that people are getting to know you, knowing about your expertise, what is it that you do, and how you establish your authority. That you are the go-to person to learn whatever it is that they wanted to learn. And then they will find your offer and then they will buy it. So essentially, they did not come to you exactly because of the offer. They came to you because of the content that you keep on showing online. That is how you build that relationship. So you see all of these meanings together, the way that we both teach the same thing, but they're also a different approach. There are similarities, building relationship, crafting your offer, and then all of these content creation that we put out there so that people get to know about us.
Yeah. And there's more than one way, you guys, to make a business
so many different
online.
Ways.
There's a million ways to have all different kinds of offers. So I also am going to squeeze this in here because I wish somebody had told me this when I started, is to remember that to have a critical mind when I listen to people talk about their message and their programs. You guys got to understand, Mai has a program, Mai has a business. I have a program, I have a business. So we're going to be talking about things that are directly related to helping you in the way that we know how to help you, right? So just because I go out there telling people, stop growing your audience, and there's somebody else out there saying, you have to grow your audience, right? It's not like one is wrong or one is right, but you got to have a critical mind when you listen to see which approach really jives best with you. whose energy you like best, whose offer you can afford, whose offer is going to really help you get there, right? You're going to make those decisions by yourself. And there is no absolute truth out there. There's only all sorts of different perspectives. And you're going to have to pick a lane and see which one is good for you right now, and then focus on that strategy, because that's what's really going to give you the most bang for your buck. It's not choosing the right strategy, it's choosing a strategy
exactly,
and sticking with it and actually seeing it through and taking action on it, which is that's the hardest thing to do.
Exactly. And it's all about knowing who you are. What do I know? Do I have the capacity to do this? Do I need this? Do I not need this? It's identifying who you are as a person. What can you do? How you can help. Don't try and obsess yourself with comparing with other people. Like, oh, this and that person does this. I need to do this. No, you've got to look into yourself. Do I have the capability or the capacity to still do this? If not, then you focus on what can you do and do it so good. Get really, really good at it so that you can excel at that one thing and you don't have to stretch yourself out too thin.
Yeah. And remember that your business life is going to be long. You don't have to boil the ocean in the next month because your first webinar was a big flop. That doesn't mean that you should quit or go underground for the following 3 months. Is remember, everything is a stepping stone. You have the entire year to test things out. So plan things out with time. Don't try to do everything all at once like Superwoman.
Yes. All right. Oh my goodness, Ina, this has been such an amazing conversation. And I always love chatting with you. I remember the last time we chatted in your Global Phenomenon podcast, we went over an hour, but I loved it.
Yeah, it's like we could just like chat about this like forever.
All life, business, and all those stuff. So
like, you and me like love this stuff.
I know. Really, we are connected
thank you so much
in one way. You know,
for
in some
having
way.
me. This is super fun.
Yeah, and Ina, thank you so much for being here. Now, before I let you go, please tell our listeners where can they find Ina Coveney, your engagement coach, online.
Yes. Thank you so much for that opportunity. So everybody can go and find me on Instagram at Your Engagement Coach. And I have a little gift for everybody to get you started with engagement, because it's not just about, hey, post the right post and then wait for engagement to happen. That's not what I want everybody who's listening to me right now, the mentality that I want you to have. Engagement is not something you post and wait for. Engagement is what you do to connect. So I actually sat down and wrote down 100 engagement post ideas that anybody can use. And every single one of them is specifically designed to foster engagement, to get people to talk to you, to get you in the proactive seat and talk to them. And it's an amazing guide that everybody should have in their pocket. And you can go and get it at 100postideas.com. And the 100 is a 100, postideas.com. Thank you so much, Mai.
All right. So that is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that gift with us, Ina. And don't worry if you didn't catch up on all those links. Whatever Ina mentioned in the show today, they will be in the episode show notes. I want you to head over to mydeleon.com/Ina, INA, and you will find everything you need. And if you like this episode, please leave us a review, because every time you do, you help the podcast get discovered by other creatives who need the inspiration to pursue their own creative dreams. And as always, keep creating and stay confident. Until next time, this is Mai. Thank you so much for being here, Ina.